Hello everyone. Today I'm going to test this Wi-Fi modem to see whether it still works or not. However, after inspecting it, I found that this Wi-Fi modem is no longer functional. But instead of throwing it away, I'm going to reuse the components inside to design and build a new antenna. Let's go through the process step by step and see how a device that seems completely useless can be transformed into something useful. First, I remove the outer casing of the modem to examine its internal structure and prepare it for the building process. While observing the modem circuit board, I noticed that there are 4 solder points connected to the signal traces. So, I apply an additional layer of solder to these 4 points to increase the contact area and create stronger connections. Next, I use these small electrical wires as the conductors for the antenna. First, I strip the insulation from the ends of the wires to expose the copper cores inside. Then, I twist the copper strands together to prevent them from fraying and to make the soldering process easier. I solder the 2 red wires to the 2 solder points located on the left side of the circuit board. Similarly, I solder the 2 blue wires to the remaining 2 solder points on the other side of the board. After completing the wiring, I feed the wires through the opening in the modem casing to route them toward the back, making the overall structure cleaner and more organized. Next, I reassemble the modem by putting the cover back in place. In the next step, I reuse an old remote control as another component of the antenna. First, I remove the outer casing of the remote control to access the internal circuit board. Next, I strip the insulation from the ends of 1 red wire and 1 blue wire coming from the modem. After exposing the copper cores inside, I twist the copper strands together and divide them into 2 branches to prepare for the next connection step. Then, I connect these 2 wires to the 2 springs on the remote control circuit board. Once the connections are complete, I double-check the wire positions and reassemble the remote control by closing its cover. Next, I use a wooden board as the base for the antenna. First, I apply a layer of hot glue to the surface of the wooden board to create a strong bond. Then, I place the Wi-Fi modem on top and press it down gently to secure in place. Next, I apply another layer of hot glue to the outer casing of the remote control. I then attach the remote control to the wooden base beside the modem, adjusting its position so that the overall antenna structure looks neat and balanced. In the next step, I use an old plug to serve as the antenna's plug connector. First, I disassemble the plug to prepare it for wiring. Then, I connect the two remaining wires from the modem to the two metal terminals of the plug. I tighten the screws securely to ensure good electrical contact and prevent the wires from coming loose during use. After completing the connections, I reassemble the plug casing just as it was originally. Finally, I apply hot glue and secure the plug next to the modem on the wooden base. Next, I use a long signal cable as the connection between the antenna and the TV. First, I strip the outer insulation from the signal cable to expose the copper core inside, making it easier to create the connectors. Here, I have a TV connector and a female plug. First, I attach the TV connector to one end of the signal cable. After securing the connector, I wrap electrical tape around the joint to protect the connection, prevent the wires from loosening, and give it a cleaner appearance. Next, I disassemble the female plug to prepare it for wiring. I connect the remaining end of the signal cable to the two metal terminals inside the female plug. I tighten the screws to ensure the wires are firmly secured and maintain stable contact. Once the connections are complete, I reassemble the outer casing of the female plug. Finally, I plug the antenna's plug into the female connector of the signal cable to complete the entire connection system. With that, the homemade antenna made from an old Wi-Fi modem is finally complete. Now, I'm going to test it in real-world conditions to see how effective it really is. First, I'll switch to a TV channel to check the signal reception without connecting the antenna. As you can see, without the antenna connected, the TV only displays the message, no signal. Next, I'll connect the DIY antenna to the signal input on the back of the TV for the actual test. And here is the result. Almost immediately after connecting the antenna, the TV channels begin to appear. The picture is clear, the colors remain stable, and there are no continuous signal interruptions. To make the test more convincing, I'll perform one more experiment. I disconnect the antenna from the TV and observe the signal changes. As soon as the antenna is unplugged, the screen instantly returns to the no signal message. Now, I'll reconnect the antenna once again. As you can see, within just a few seconds, the channels reappear and continue working normally. This experiment shows that old electronic devices are not always as useless as they seem. With a little creativity, patience, and the right approach, they can be given a new purpose in ways we might never expect. If you enjoyed this project or found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.